Hey guys, we're just gonna make a quick video here. This is gonna save us a ton of time on the range. I don't even think we really connect and communicate that well on the range when it comes to this much detail. Let me demonstrate the draw stroke. Both hands are moving at the same time. This hand comes to here, but at the same time, this hand comes to the gun, accesses the gun, clears a garment on the way if it needs to. But you're establishing a high grip here. Thumb is vertical, finger down the frame. We have a high grip established at the holster. Master single-handed grip. This hand, the fingers are relaxed, but they will be sort of together so that we don't go into the trigger guard later. And these hands tilted down, I'm just relaxing it. And in a way, it sort of starts to preload this wrist a little bit. So number one is we're just going to this position one. Now, if this hand's tied up doing something, great. But if it's free, we don't want it dangling out in the wind. So it is number one. Number two, we're going to continue to drive this elbow back, not out. But we're not going to move the shoulders up, the body, not going to bend the body. We're not going to slowly pull the gun out of the holster. It's going to come out with a snap. And that'll break that retention. We're going to drive this, not going to dip the hips or dip the knees. So we're going to drive that elbow straight back for number two, and look, it comes out, the wrist straightens, it's in a downward 45-degree angle. Now, in this case, I'm pretending as though this is a shooting position. I've got it exaggerated, and this thumb is isolating the slide and on this pectoral muscle. My hand is safe. But look, the muzzle has cleared the body. Okay. Now from here, if I want to use this sort of as a pivot point, it'll make it a lot easier for you to understand this. Lower, don't move the shoulder forward again. Just keep this all back. But lower the elbow on this pivot. Watch how the gun will clear the body, level, and you'll be able to just at the same time come into position number three. This is exaggerated. This could be a shooting position. You could be fighting from this position. Shooting from this position. That's why we're going through this so rigidly. So again, number one, two, remember, pull that gun, aggressively drive that elbow back. The elbow goes back, everything follows. 1, 2, 3, and I'll make this a little easier shortly. But then it's going to go up into 4. Now where's 4? 4, there's a couple ways you can do this. Hold the gun out about this far away, not above the chin, not below the chin, but level with the chin. Level with the chin. That's approximately about where the gun, look, it's not real close to the face, but when it's there, you still have a lot of time you can get on it in the presentation with the eyes. So it's not so far out that we can't do what we need to do, but it's not so close that it feels uncomfortable. And it's not up in the eye, it's down at the chin. We can see it, but it's not up in the actual established eye line of the target yet. We subconsciously just sort of see it down there. We can see it as it goes out, and that sort of subconsciously helps guide it along that path under that dominant eye. So it's not at the center of the chin straight out, it's over under that dominant eye. If you figure out where this is, just sort of look at it, learn what that looks like, what it feels like. That's the position of the beginning of number 4 for most of us, humans. There are some people that can exaggerate this inverted L a lot more, but for us, it's going to be rounded off a little bit on this corner, right? How do we find that again from another direction? Let's lock our wrist and get a full grip and drive out forward. Now, let's just go to the chin level and pull it back in. Don't pull your elbows down like this. Let the elbows come out at sort of this downward slope, but they're up a little bit. Let the gun come back, and you'll feel where it starts to come apart, where it starts to feel uncomfortable. That's about where it needs to go. It's any farther back, it starts to feel uncomfortable. And look, where is that freaking gun? Right where I told you it would be. So when we're coming the other way from position 3, All we have to do is lock that wrist, let the grip fold in, and that will keep the gun straight and level, and it goes right under that dominant eye, right at the beginning of fork. It finds that spot. It goes up, over, and out slightly. Up, over, and out slightly. Up, over, and away, right into this position 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just, from the chin, it drives out, and it doesn't go, you know, like stair steps or something. No, it just, you'll find naturally, that just naturally, my eye's on the target, and then it will just naturally ride under that dominant eye, and it'll slowly come up. I'm prepping the trigger. I'm sitting on the trigger, prepping the trigger, because I made the decision to shoot. When does your finger go into the trigger? It may not go in the trigger guard. But if you've made the decision to shoot, and look, the gun is on the target, and I made the decision to shoot, why not start prepping it and sit on that prepped trigger, if you can do it safely. Set on that prepped trigger, and then as it comes up to the cheek and lines up into the eye, naturally, I take the shot as soon as I see it. So I'm getting a very accurate shot. I'm getting a very controlled shot. I'm only getting the shot from the last piece of the trigger press, so it's much smoother and straight to the rear. It's easier by preparing that trigger on the way out, which works really good with striker fired guns. A revolver double action, I'm actually pressing through that whole sweeping trigger press all the way out to the end and completing it. But with a somewhat regular trigger, single action, or striker fired, hopefully there's enough of a wall there that you can sometimes get on the trigger and prep it, and then at the end, all you're waiting on is to see it interrupt that eye and click. It's a reaction, not a decision. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's start talking about this as one clean draw stroke, because it's not 4 pieces. I know I'm going to shoot full extension, so it's going to look much more like this. Does that make sense? And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Go slowly, work out the angles, work out the smoothness. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3. And 1, and 2. And 1, and down to 2.5 seconds. And 1. I'm down to 1 second draw stroke. And 1. And 1. And 1. And 1, and 2, and 3. I can make it go as fast or slow, but I'm still putting all those things in there, those ingredients, baking them in at the right time and place. Hopefully this will help you to begin your draw stroke. What I can do is also practice it from number 3 and just do the top half. I can just do the first half of it. Notice how this hand doesn't come off the body till the gun is level. And it comes in as a bladed hand with the fingers together, so I'm safe. Notice how I don't start wrapping the grip here. I just come up, preload that wrist out and down. It's already down, so I just preload it out, and it falls right into place. It just folds right in there with a high thumb and high base of the thumb. Very simple, folks. Work on your draw stroke. You're going to have to put some time into this one, and it's not going to stop. You're going to be doing your draw stroke from now on, improving it over and over.